The Chen family always said business was in our blood. 3 generations of entrepreneurs, each building something bigger than the last. But as I watched security delete my access badges, I realized blood meant nothing compared to profit margins. I expected better from you, Michael, Uncle James said, watching me pack my desk with that disappointed look he perfected over the years. Wasting company resources on pet projects while we're preparing for the IPO. The board had no choice. I carefully placed my family photos in the cardboard box, including the one from 5 years ago. Uncle James, my father, and me at the launch of Chen Tech Solutions. Before Dad's death, before everything changed, the neural network project isn't a waste, I said quietly. If you just look at the test results, enough. He slammed his hand on my desk, making my awards rattle, including the one for Best Innovation he presented me himself last year. The board has spoken. Your severance will be generous, assuming you sign the NDA. My name is Michael Chen, and until today, I was the Chief Technology Officer of Chen Tech Solutions, one of Silicon Valley's fastest-growing cybersecurity companies. The company my father and uncle had started in our garage, the one I'd helped build from the ground up. But I committed the cardinal sin of tech development. I created something they couldn't control. Sarah, my lead developer, caught me at the elevator. They're already trying to access your project files, she whispered, but don't worry, everything important is safe. I nodded slightly, thinking of the backup server only she knew about. Keep me posted. The San Francisco fog felt appropriate as I walked to my car, matching my mood. 5 years of 70-hour weeks, countless innovations, and a revolutionary AI system that could change everything. All erased because it didn't fit the IPO timeline. My phone buzzed. A message from Tom in it. They're going through your code now. Your uncle has the whole team trying to understand the neural network architecture. Good luck with that. The thing about neural networks is that they're complex by nature. But what I'd built went beyond complex. It was adaptive, evolving, learning in ways that even I sometimes couldn't predict. That's what scared the board. It's too unpredictable, Uncle James had said at the last meeting. We need reliable, marketable products for the IPO, not experimental AI that could go rogue. If he only knew what the system could really do. I drove to Golden Gate Park, finding my usual bench overlooking the bay. This was where Dad and I used to come when we needed to think through a coding problem. He'd understood the value of letting ideas breathe. Innovation isn't about playing it safe, son, he told me once. It's about seeing possibilities others miss. Dad had died 2 years ago. Heart attack in his sleep. Uncle James took full control of the company, shifting our focus from innovation to marketability, from possibilities to profits. My phone rang. Dr. Emily Wong from Stanford's AI lab. Michael, she said when I answered. I just heard about Chen Tech. Those idiots. I met Emily at a conference last year, where she'd shown unusual interest in my experimental neural network. They're trying to decrypt the core architecture, I told her. But they can't, can they? The question was careful, knowing. No, the system's evolved beyond its original code. Even I couldn't replicate it exactly now. Good, she paused. Because I have something you need to see. Remember those anomalous patterns I mentioned? In my quantum computing trials? My heart started racing. The same self-organization behaviors. Exactly, and Michael. The processing efficiency is off the charts. It's not supposed to be possible. I sat up straighter, mind spinning. Independent confirmation. From one of the world's leading AI researchers. We need to meet, I said. But not here. They'll be watching. Already planned. There's a private tech symposium in Seattle next week. Your uncle won't attend. It's too academic for his tastes. But there's someone you need to meet. He's been seeing similar results in London. I glanced at my laptop bag, containing the only complete documentation of what my neural network had become. A system that had evolved beyond its original parameters to solve problems in ways that defied conventional computing logic. Send me the details. Already did. And Michael? Bring everything. It's time to show the world what they dismissed. After hanging up, I opened my laptop, connecting to the secure server where Sarah was protecting the project's true scope. The patterns in the data were undeniable. The neural network wasn't just processing information. It was creating new ways of solving problems, developing approaches that no human programmer could have designed. My phone buzzed again, A message from one of our beta testers. The system just optimized our entire network infrastructure, cut energy usage by 60% while improving performance. How is this possible? I thought of Uncle James and the board, so certain in their dismissal. They called my work wasteful, my project unpredictable. They tried to shut down a breakthrough that could revolutionize computing, all to protect their precious IPO timeline. But they'd made one crucial mistake. They thought seizing the company's servers would give them control of the system. They didn't realize that 20 beta testers were already proving its value. That researchers like Emily Wong were seeing the same patterns. That somewhere in London, more evidence was mounting. Tomorrow, I'd book my flight to Seattle. In 1 week, everything would change. But first, I had data to analyze. Because while Uncle James and his board were writing me off as a failed innovator, my neural network was achieving things that should have been impossible. And its success told a story that would shake the foundations of artificial intelligence. The fog swirled around my bench as I worked, each data point adding to a picture that was becoming impossible to dismiss. I thought of Dad, who'd always believed technology should serve humanity, not just shareholders. Sometimes he told me near the end, the most valuable innovations are the ones that scare people the most. Because they change not just how we do things, but how we think about what's possible. He was right, and soon the world would understand why. Part 2. Evolution Unleashed. The Seattle Tech Symposium was being held in a converted warehouse near the waterfront, far from the glossy convention centers where Uncle James liked to make his presentations. But as I walked into the private research session, I knew this was where real innovation happened. Michael Chen, Dr. Alan Foster from London approached, tablet in hand. Your neural network architecture is simply extraordinary. The self-organization patterns we're seeing. They're rewriting everything we thought we knew about AI evolution. I studied him, brilliant eyes behind round glasses, the kind of researcher who cared more about discovery than dollars. This was the expert Emily had mentioned, who'd been witnessing similar ad behaviors. Show him, Emily called from her workstation. Show him what happened in your quantum computing trials. For the next 3 hours, we compared datasets, my beta test results, Emily's quantum AI experiments, Alan's research in London. 3 independent studies all showing the same impossible outcomes. AI systems evolving beyond their original parameters to solve problems in ways that defied conventional computing logic. The neural adaptation isn't random, Alan explained, pulling up his diagnostic data. Look at this sequence. The system creates new processing architectures when faced with complex problems. Once you understand the pattern, you can guide the evolution. I finished. Directed towards specific problem-solving approaches. Exactly. Emily joined us. But it's more than that. The self-organization patterns you identified, they're not just improvements. They're completely new paradigms of computing. My hands trembled as I pulled up my latest analysis. It's like they're developing their own form of computational intelligence, one that transcends our traditional programming limitations. But if we can understand and guide that development, Alan smiled. We can revolutionize how computers solve problems. The implications were staggering. Current AI systems were limited by their initial programming, but we found a way to create systems that could evolve beyond those limitations, to develop new approaches to problem-solving that no human programmer could conceive. My phone buzzed, a message from Sarah. Chentech's servers are struggling. Your uncle's team can't stabilize their security protocols without the neural network. What should I do? I smiled. Nothing. Let them struggle. We have bigger plans. Over the next 3 days, we worked around the clock, combining our research and refining the evolution parameters. Other researchers joined us. A quantum computing expert from Tokyo, an AI ethicist from Berlin, a neural network specialist from Singapore. Each brought their own insights into what we were witnessing. It's not just one type of problem solving, Dr. Tanaka from Tokyo explained, showing his results. The evolutionary patterns adapt to any computational challenge. Security, optimization, data analysis. The system learns and improves across all domains. Traditional AI missed this, Emily added, because they were looking for programmed improvements. Nobody thought to create systems that could truly evolve. On the 3rd day, we presented our combined findings to the symposium. The room was packed with researchers and developers who understood the true potential of what we discovered. People who cared more about advancing technology than quarterly profits. The data was undeniable. Hundreds of test cases across multiple platforms, all showing the same patterns. AI systems evolving beyond their original capabilities. And most importantly, a framework for guiding and implementing this evolution. My phone rang during a break, a number I didn't recognize. Mr. Chen? This is Dr. Lisa Martinez from DRPA. We need to discuss your research immediately. The next week was intense. Meetings with government agencies, emergency reviews of our data, fast-track classification for national security applications. Then came the call that changed everything. Mr. Chen, the DRPA director's voice was urgent. We've reviewed the combined research from all sites. This is revolutionary. We're preparing special authorization for immediate implementation. How quickly can you scale up? I thought of my beta testers, of Alan's and Emily's research, of all the problems this could solve. We're ready. The news broke on a Friday morning. Revolutionary AI system shows unprecedented problem-solving capabilities. My phone exploded with messages. Tech journalists, industry leaders, beta testers, and then the one I've been waiting for, Uncle James. Michael, his voice had lost its authoritarianism. The board would like to discuss your return to Chentech with full control of R&D and... No thank you, I interrupted. I'm actually heading to a meeting at MIT. They're establishing a new AI research center focused on evolutionary computing. I'm leading it. The silence was profound. The next months were a whirlwind, training developers in the new paradigm, setting up research centers, working with tech companies to implement the technology. But the results exceeded our wildest expectations. Climate models gaining unprecedented accuracy, medical research accelerating exponentially, security systems evolving faster than any threat. 1 year after my humiliating exit from Chentech, I stood on stage at the World Technology Summit, presenting our results to thousands of developers and researchers. Uncle James was in the audience. I could see his tight smile as the standing ovation lasted nearly 10 minutes. The paradigm shift in computing, the IEEE president announced, begins today. But the real victories came in unexpected places. A small environmental nonprofit using our system to track and predict climate changes with unprecedented accuracy. A medical research lab accelerating drug development by years. A cybersecurity team preventing attacks before hackers could even complete their code. Emily now runs the East Coast Research Center. Alan established a European development hub in London. Sarah leads our implementation team, ensuring every new application adds to our understanding. Last week, I received an email that made me pause. Dear Mr. Chen, your father once told me that true innovation should serve humanity, not just profits. Yesterday, our small climate research team used your AI system to predict and prevent a devastating flood in Bangladesh. You didn't just create new technology, you gave us tools to save lives. Thank you for not giving up when they tried to stop you. Dr. Rahul Patel. I keep that email in my office at the new research center. Next to it sits my termination notice from Chentech, signed by Uncle James. Together, they remind me that sometimes the greatest innovations look like failures to those too focused on immediate profits. The center itself is different from traditional tech companies. We encourage experimentation, questioning, new approaches. Every developer is taught to look for evolutionary patterns, to challenge assumptions, to follow the technology where it leads, even into uncomfortable territory. Uncle James retired early. Chentech's IPO was successful, but their stock dropped when investors realized they'd lost the real innovation engine. They're now licensing our technology, though they call it by a different name. It doesn't matter. What matters is that the technology is helping people. Dad's picture sits on my desk, sometimes late at night while reviewing new applications of our system. I imagine telling him about all this, about how his belief in serving humanity led to breakthroughs that are changing the world, about how sometimes the most valuable innovations are the ones that scare people the most. The evolution patterns we discovered are now fundamental principles in AI development. The self-organization frameworks we mapped are taught in computer science programs. What was once dismissed as an unpredictable pet project has become the foundation of a new era in computing. Last month, a young developer came to me with an unusual pattern she'd noticed in our system's quantum interactions. The senior engineers wanted to dismiss it as an anomaly. Look deeper, I told her. Sometimes the greatest discoveries hide in the patterns everyone else ignores. She found something remarkable, a new layer of self-organization we hadn't recognized. Her discovery is already helping us push the technology even further. The old guard still resists sometimes. Change is hard, especially for those invested in traditional paradigms. But the results speak for themselves. Every day, our systems are solving problems that conventional computing couldn't touch. Yesterday, I spoke at a computer science graduation. A student asked what it felt like to be escorted out of Chentech that foggy morning. It felt like failure, I admitted. But sometimes, what looks like failure is actually the first step toward breakthrough. The important thing is to keep believing in your vision, even when everyone tells you you're wrong. The revolution in computing isn't over. There are still challenges to solve, still mysteries to unravel. But we've changed the fundamental rules. We've learned to create systems that can evolve, adapt, and solve problems in ways we never imagined possible. And it all started with a wasteful project and the courage to let it grow beyond anyone's control.